Yeah. Good evening, all. Today we are conducting ANMI WR's 113 Knowledge Series webinar on Client Unpaid Security Pledge account in association with NSDL. In today's webinar, speakers will discuss on operation guidelines in respect of handling client securities by trading members and clearing members. Also, the implementation of the SEBI circular on the subject. I hope this webinar would give more clarity to our members on this subject. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Mr. Prashant Vagal, Executive Vice President of NSDL, and Mr. Anik Mehta, Senior Manager of NSDL, as our speakers for today's webinar. I request them to start the webinar and discuss on the subject. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and we express our sincere thanks to ANMI for giving us this opportunity as well as arranging this webinar with such a short notice. Knowing that the 31st March is approaching fast, a series of development NSDL has done for to ensure that in the span of this short duration we are able to implement many things. So we had a series of meetings with the back office vendors. As well, we have also ensured that we will be able to make necessary changes in the infrastructure. And in fact, the part of the journey where the new the term is getting familiarized with us, and that is in the name of CUSPA. Till now, we were knowing as a CUSA, and now the sister of the CUSA is coming in the name of CUSPA. That is what we can call. It's another concept, new account, new validation, and new phenomena. But one of the important points which is worth mentioning here is that CUSPA is giving to give a birth to the link transaction. And as a part of the journey, a lot of activities which broker used to feel a constraint in terms of margin trading, in terms of unpaid securities can be taken care by this arrangement. So with this background in the mind, we will start our presentation today. So I hope everybody is able to see the presentation slides.
Yes, sir, it's visible. Huh?
Yeah. So basically, all the things have originated when SEBI issued the circular in the November 2022, whereby SEBI realized that subsequent to the mandatory block, early paying mechanism and non-early paying mechanism, there is hardly limited scope available whereby the securities lying in the pool account can be misused. So as a part of that, we are the part of the committee where we are discussing how the pool to client related transactions can be monitorized, as well as there can be the obligation level matching. The discussion is progress with the SEBI. So as a part of the discussion, the point which emerges out that there is another concept like a CUSA, known as a client's unpaid securities account. It is a pool account in the nature, and that account is basically used for the purpose of parking the securities where the client money has not received. And there are guidelines that if within 5 days money is not received, then it should be disposed of. And if it is payment is received, then the money securities can be transferred to the client demat account. So when that whole activity is happening, it is resulting in commingling of the securities of various clients who has not paid the money. And moment that commingling happens, then over the period of time, obligation matching, early warning mechanism, these are some of the initiatives which SEBI has taken in the recent past, cannot be adhered to. And so that's the reason the concept of CUSPA came into the existence, where the most crucial part, whether it is a paid security or whether it is unpaid security, after the payout is received, broker will transfer the security to the client account. And so with that thought in mind, the CUSPA came into the existence. Now because the client has not paid the security, then if he is receiving the securities in his demat account as a free balance, then there is a chances that he will misuse it or he may run away with the securities And so there is need to have a tight control and mechanism whereby the client, though he sees the securities in his demat account, he will not be able to use that. And so with that thought in mind, the concept of CUSPA came into the existence. We will go through the more details as a part of today's discussion. These are some of the points which are mentioned as a part of the agenda, which I am going to talk about in the coming slides. So as I mentioned at the beginning, the November 11 was a trigger point whereby in November 11, 2022, SEBI issued the circular for handling of the client securities by the trading member. And the thought was that the client's funds and securities and to ensure that the stockbrokers segregate the securities or money in a client account. And so the CUSA was introduced by SEBI in June 2019. That concept, which is almost relevant for the more than 3 years now, is going to be abolished from the 15th April 2023 onward. And from 1st April 2023, the new concept about the CUSPA will come into the existence. The whole process and the purpose for which this guideline was issued by SEBI is to ensure that the process of handling the unpaid securities by the TM and CM can be further streamlined with a better segregation of assets rather than lying in a CUSPA and depending on the broker only to know what is the final segregation of these securities. And so with that thought in the mind, the concept which came into the existence was like this. Moment the securities are received by the TM or a CM as a part of the payout journey, the securities will move from the payout pool account of the client broker or a clearing member to the client demat account. Now, when such a transfer is happening, which is happening today also, then it will expose to the risk that moment securities are credited into the client account, it will become the free balance. And so the concept was introduced that while transferring the payout from the broker or from the TM or a clearing member pool account to the client, a flag will be introduced in the name of unpaid. And the reason will be mentioned that unpaid securities, so that system knows that these are the unpaid securities. So don't make it a free balance and create a lien by the way of auto place in favor of the CUSPA account, which is the client unpaid securities pledgee account. So in addition to the CUSA, the pledgee word is added. And so now that CUSA, which used to be the pool account, has become a beneficiary account in the new name and new category known as a client unpaid securities pledgee account, that is the CUSPA. Now, after these securities hit the client demat account, because it is an unpaid securities, the auto pledge will be triggered based on the flag coming from the broker as well as the details of the CUSPA account. So the payout which is going to distribute to the client now will have two additional fields, one flag towards the paid unpaid and the second CUSPA account detail, so that the auto pledge can be created in favor of that account. Now after that pledge is created, definitely the broker and a TM and a CM has to send the SMS email to the client that please fulfill the pay-in obligation, payout fund obligation, so that they are in the position to make these securities free. Then what is the time available for making the payment? If the payment is not done within a stipulated deadline, then what will happen? So all this process need to be communicated to the client as a part of the subsequent process. Now, when all this thing is done, definitely everything requires a time. When we get an alert from the credit card company, they always say 2 days left, 3 days left. And then they also mention if you don't pay the amount, then what will happen? Then definitely there is a penalty. Then per day, this much is a penalty, all the things are there. So here also, the same thing will happen, that 5 days trading time is given to the client to fulfill the funds obligation. And if it is not done, then if it is done, then during that 5 days, if the payment is received, broker can make that security as a free balance, which are already pledged in the investor demat account in favor of the broker or a clearing member. And so the journey for the same will happen like this. If the client does not fulfill the funds obligation, then TM and CM can dispose of such unpaid securities in the market within 5 trading days. Unpaid securities will be sold in the market with the UCC of the client. Now, because the UCC of the client is mentioned, then security has to be delivered for the paying from the client demat account only. And so that's the reason after the invocation is done, if the money is not received by the broker or by the clearing member, then securities will be debited from the pledge balance of the client. It will go to the CUSPA account as a free balance, but it will not remain in the CUSPA because the trade is going to happen in the UCC of the client. So immediately after touching the CUSPA, these securities will get debited from CUSPA free balance, will be credited to the client demat account as a free balance, and immediately the mandatory block will be created in favor of a normal pool account of the broker. So the invocation, transfer of securities to the client account, and creation of the mandatory block with the early pay-in flag, these 3 activities will happen as a part of the pledge invocation. Now, because the pledge invocation is going to trigger 3 activities, most crucial part, how the system will know that for which settlement these shares are going to be delivered. So the pledge invocation instruction in the depository will be modified to incorporate market type, settlement number, CMBP ID. So system knows at the time of the pledge invocation, these are the details which has to be further used for crediting the client account. Second, for creating the mandatory block. Third, knowing the target CMBP ID or a TM ID of a broker or a clearing member so that the early paying block can be created. So this is what the whole complete journey will happen for this activity. Now suppose if because of some reason, broker did not take any action and he forgot to take any necessary action in 5 trading days, then there is a time available for next 2 days, whereby on the 7th day, these securities will be auto-released and it will become a free balance. So till 7th trading day, the broker has the time to decide whether to pursue with the client and take the money or sell the shares in the market with the UCC of the client. If any of these action is not done by the broker, then as per SEBI guideline, the securities will become free in a client account. So 7th day is a trigger day. It is a 7th trading day. So what we are going to do in our system is that in the depository system, there is a closure date. So that closure date is going to be the 7th trading day. So when we are creating the auto pledge, as we mentioned at this particular slide, previous slide, we will also give an indication to the broker as a client that this is the time available for the client to make the payment to the broker. Otherwise, he will sell the securities. And it is an indicator to the broker or CM that if a client money is not received till that day, I should sell that share, otherwise it will become a free balance. So the system is going to calculate 7 trading days, and you as a broker or a clearing member and your client don't have to keep the track how I will calculate 7 trading days. There are 3 bank holidays, then there are Saturday, Sundays. So whether the Saturday bank is open but the trading is not there. So how, what type of intelligence client or a broker or a CM should apply, that will be inbuilt in the system. So we will have a trading calendar where we will consider each and every trading day. The trading day which is not settlement day, all this calculation will be inbuilt and will be communicated to you as a part of that auto pledge. And so that's why the auto release will happen. So the indicator as well as the due date, the way credit card statement also carries the date, that this is the due date for making the payment. This auto pledge generated in the system will also carry the date, which is the indicator for the client as well as the broker. Now the CUSA account, which is traditionally used since year 2019, will be no longer will be applicable from 1st April 2023. Now, whatever securities lying in the CUSA from 1st April 2023 till April 15, 2023 is a time available to wound up or sell in the market or pursue with the client so that you can give these shares back to the client. After April 15, these securities are no more, these account will be no more valid and it will be suspended for debit based on the advice received from the SEBI. These are some of the circulars which we have issued over the period of time. Definitely since November 11, 2022, this circular was issued by SEBI. These are the series of circular we have issued. One was operational guideline, one about the file format to the broker and clearing member. The second one about our internet initiatives, which is known as the SPIDI. So those brokers and a clearing member are using those facilities or the SPICE facility. These changes have been communicated by us to them. And the last but not the least, there will be the new type subtype in a depository system for which also the circular has been issued. And from this Friday onwards, we are incorporating the CUSPA type subtype in the depository system. So the brokers and a clearing member can start approaching their DPs from Monday onwards, and so that these accounts can be open, so that these next 15 days, the system can be set up in the broker and a DP back office to receive the securities, generate the files, and to ensure that CUSPA related functionality can be rolled out in the easy manner from the April 1st, 2023. These are some of the subtypes which will be introduced at the part of this CUSPA journey. As you know, the depository system, NSDL depository system has a facility for opening of the pool account for a trading member, opening of the pool account for the clearing member, which can be for the PCM, which can be for the custodian, which can be for the CMs who are also working as a TM. Then there are a TM and CM facility. So that also for that there is a pool account facility available. So whatever types of the pool account can be opened by the TM, CM or only CM or PCM in an NSDL depository system, the subsequent CUSPA pool account, CUSPA account can be opened for those types of type. So each and every pool account, there is a corresponding CUSPA account, that is the provision has been made in the depository system. So these are the types of type which can be added as a part of this CUSPA process in the depository system. Now, which type of the account can be opened by which type of the trading member and a clearing member? So TM who are not a CM can open only TM CUSPA account, but the TM who are also CM, because they are playing dual role and having two hats, they can open TM CM CUSPA account. Those who are only CM, mostly it happen in the F&O segment, it will happen for the PCM, it will happen for the custodian pool account, they can go for the CM CUSPA account. Now, simplicity of the process for opening, we have ensured that because you are already having one association with your DP for opening pool account, for opening CUSA account, we should not pressurize you for having a lengthy account opening process, which as per SEBI guideline, when any pool account or a corporate account is open, there is a board resolution and many more documents are required. So to make the process simplified, we have created a consent form. By just signing that consent form, where based on the existing KYC available with your DP for opening the pool or a CUSA can be extended further, and based on that consent form, any of the above three subtype of the account can be opened in a seamless manner. Some of the points we have already discussed, that if the existing CUSA is not emptied out till April 15, 2023, then it will be frozen for suspended for debit and credit. Till that time, the account will be allowed till April 15, 2023. This account will be allowed to be used for transferring the shares from the CUSA to CM pool account, and credit to CUSA account will be allowed till April 1st, 2023. So till April 1st, 2023, so March 31st, 2023 EOD is a deadline for transferring any unpaid shares to the CUSA. But if you know that from 1st April the CUSPA is going to be there, so definitely transferring the shares in that account and the next day again taking it there to the CUSPA is not worth doing it. It will be a duplication of work. So you can start doing the activity whereby you can start crediting the CUSA till the time you have a faith that you will be able to recover the money. Whatever the securities lying in a CUSA, please ensure that from April 1st to April 15, all are flush out and no balance is left in that account, because as we already mentioned at the point number 2, that account is no more in use from April 16, 2023. Now, this is the process which we are going to discuss in detail, that how it will happen. If the client, if a broker or a CM has received the money from the client, then there is no change in existing process. Execute the payout instruction either through Speedy or through Spice or through your DP in the same manner, and the securities will be credited as a free balance to the client account. Now, the change will come if a client has not paid you. Then, as I discussed at the beginning, while crediting the securities to the client account, instead of the CUSA as you used to do prior to 1st April 2023, you transfer it with an unpaid flag, please with the details of the CUSPA account. Now, securities will be transferred to the respective client demat account and auto pledge instruction will be created in favor of the CUSPA. Now, immediately when this auto pledge is created, the pledgee account will be the client account, client demat account who has not paid the money, and the pledgee, which is the target account in the normal pledge, will be the CUSPA account of the TMCM. It could be TM CUSPA, it could be CM CUSPA, or it could be TM/CM CUSPA. So based on the type of account and the type of the role played by the respective broker and a clearing member. In respect of the securities that have not paid in full by the client pays the pending dues within 5 trading days after the payout, then there is no problem. It is a normal pledge release which client, broker or a CM will be doing it. It is exactly like a release of the margin pledge instruction. And so instead of calling it as a margin pledge, it will be the normal pledge instruction. The basic difference between these instruction and a margin pledge instruction, in case of a margin pledge instruction, the OTP is required from the client that I have hereby given my consent for creating the margin pledge in the favor of a broker or a CM. But here the client has already defaulted. So where is the question of asking the client that for creating this auto pledge, please give the mandate. And so that's the reason this is not a margin pledge, it is a normal pledge created in the favor of the CUSPA. So the TMCM will execute a unilateral closure for releasing the pledge, and so that the securities will be debited from the client demat pledge balance and credited to the client's demat account as a free balance. And so that type of the change will happen in the transaction statement. In that type of the state change will happen in the various exports provided by NSDL to the brokers through IDS facility, or to the respective depository participants where the pool account of the broker or a clearing member is maintained. Now, the change in the invocation process, in addition to the existing margin pledge invocation or a normal pledge invocations, will be the TMCM shall dispose of such unpaid securities in the market within the 5 trading days after the payout. The TMCM along with the respective UCC details of the client. Because when the auto pledge is created, there is no UCC required because it is not a margin pledge. And for margin pledge, UCC is mandatory. But in the invocation, the UCC is required because invocation is going to result into the mandatory block early pay instruction, and the nature of a margin mandatory block early pay instruction is that UCC is a must, because unless UCC is mentioned, mandatory block is not done. If a mandatory block is done without the UCC, then the early paying benefit is not enjoyed by the clearing member, And early paying benefit will be enjoyed only by when the clearing corporation will get a UCC detail. So because it is like A equal to B, B equal to C, C equal to D, there is a need to have a UCC detail as a part of the invocation. TMCM will process pledge invocation request only against the delivery obligation. This is another validation or a check has to be ensured by the broker or a TM that when they are initiating the invocation, they have to first initiate the trade on the stock exchange platform. Suppose if they don't do it, then what will happen? Invocation will happen with the market type settlement number details. It will go to the client account with the details of UCC market type settlement number and a CM pool account detail. The mandatory block will be created on the day when the invocation is executed by the TM and CM. In the night, NSDL will get an obligation from clearing corporation. Now there is no obligation because the broker has not executed any trade. And then what will happen? These securities will become a free balance. So only invocation is not sufficient. Before that or immediately after the invocation, before the end of the day of an invocation, broker or a CM has to ensure that a trade has done on the stock exchange platform. So if an invocation is happening after 3:30 and there was no trade executed before 3:30, then that securities are going to become a free. So on the last day, when the securities are going to be free, first execute a trade and then go for the invocation. And that is what has to be done. So better not to wait till the last day to do all the activities. Moment the 5th day is done, give the notice to the client on the 6th day and ensure that on the 6th day the trade is executed. So at the end of the day, you are in the position to execute the invocation and have the 7th day as a buffer to ensure that if anything goes wrong, you will be in the position to do the needful. On invocation, the securities shall be credited to the CUSPA and will be automatically transferred to the client demat account and then will be blocked for the early paying in the client demat account. Additional details like UCC, TM ID, exchange ID, block indicator, which are the part of the mandatory block mechanism, will be required to be provided as a part of the invocation details. We have already discussed. We have modified the file format where the pledge invocation will have all these details at the part of this thing. Pledge invocation will be currently in our speedy platform. Pledge invocation option is not there. We are in the process of introducing that facility, which will be introduced shortly. Margin pledge invocation is there, but the normal pledge invocation is not there. And so that's the reason that system change are in the process. So as a part of this CUSPA release, we will be able to do that activity. Once such a securities are blocked for the early paying in the client demat account, NSDL will verify the block early paying detail against the client level obligation received from the CC. It is exactly like what we are currently doing for the mandatory block matching. Because moment it enter into the mandatory block journey, then whether it was the outcome of the invocation, whether it was the outcome of the trade executed by the client in the normal close, or whether it was the outcome of the margin trading funding, everything will go through the same channel, and as a part of that journey, the validations will be incorporated. Accordingly, the necessary fields UCC, TM ID, exchange ID, block indicator flag along with settlement details are added on the respective swing, and the file format for account transfer, inter-depository transfer, pledge invocation details has been modified to take care of the same. The normal block mechanism process for UCC validation and blocking of the securities in the client account, sharing of the EPI details, matching obligation, and delivery of shares to the clearing corporation for paying will continue as it is, as currently is happening on the day of the paying, which is a T+1 BOD, and there is no change in that process. Obligation matches process in case of a match EPI on the BOD of early paying days, securities will be debited from the client block account and credited to CC settlement account. And similarly, in case of a non-match EPI, the securities will be debited from client block account and will be credited as a free balance in a client demat account. So all this process will continue as it is, and there is no change which is anticipated as a part of the chapter. Auto pledge instruction, which is neither invoked or not released by the TMCA within 7 trading days after the payout, the pledge securities in the client account will be auto released by NSDL. And so the 7 days will be the day which will be on day when it is happening. So in our system, the closure date will be updated as a 7 trading date, and you will get an idea about before which date you need to do for the necessary action to ensure that the client will not get the access of these securities for which he has not paid the dues to you. Accordingly, the securities will be available to the client demat account as a free balance on the BOD of next working days after 7 trading days after the payout. So the 8th day is the day when it will become a free. 5th day is a time till then you cannot invoke it because it is a time available with the client. 6th day is the day when you have to give a notice to the client. So 6th and 7th days are the buffer days available with you, where you can take the call and ensure that the invocation is done. So 2 trading days are available. We know there are some scripts where the liquidity may not be there. We know there are scripts where the lower circuit is happen. So there are only there are only seller and no buyer. Then how the trade will happen? But when there are upper circuit, definitely there are buyer only. So you will be able to sell the shares. And so that's the reason, the simple thing you have to keep in mind that the 2 buffer days are available. There was a question which was raised with us and by brokers, which we have already escalated to the SEBI. If there is no liquidity on these trading days, then what will happen? Unfortunately, at this stage, there is no answer to that. SEBI was of the opinion that the system is designed for the normal action and not for the exception. So the exception need to be handled on a case-to-case basis. So if there is such a case where you know that there is a very less liquidity in the script, and so on the 6th and the 7th day, you may land up with the scenario where the securities movement, because if you invoke, it will get marked in favor of your pool account. In the night, there is no obligation, it will become free. So you can invoke the shares, and knowing that the trade has not happened, so from 3:30 p.m. till EOD of the day, you can create another instruction from that client account where a normal pledge or a margin pledge or MTF pledge can be created in your favor, whereby moment these securities become a free balance in the night because there is no obligation, immediately the another block by way of artificial block created by you, these securities will be blocked. So some another mechanism need to be devised, and some risk mitigation action needs to be taken by the broker and a clearing member if there is less liquidity or no liquidity in the shares against which the payment default has happened from the client. So that type of the due diligence and the arrangement and the precaution, broker and the clearing member has to ensure till the time some mechanism has been devised and in consultation with the SEBI. So this is a complete flow diagram of how it will happen. For the convenience of the entities, it has been mentioned whereby the originator is a payout. If it is an unpaid payout, then there are 3 options available. Either broker will take a decision to release the shares which are auto pledged, or he will take a decision to sell in the market in the UCC of the client and invoke it. If any of the action is not happening, then NSDL will auto release after the completion of 7 days. So in all this scenario, how the further process will happen? In case of a release of the pledge, it is the pledge account of the client debited and a free account of the client credited. If it is an invocation of the pledge, then mandatory block created with the early paying instruction in favor of the broker and a CF. And if nothing is happening, and it is a system generated auto release because broker has and a clearing member has not taken any action, then nothing will happen other than these securities becoming as a free balance in a client account, and which will be available for a client to dispose of or sell and transfer and anything. So that is the way the whole journey is, whatever we discuss has been mentioned in front of you as a part of the flow chart diagram, so that a complete visibility will be available about the from the beginning till end of the journey. So on the day of payout till 7 day, how the process will happen at a various level has been articulated in front of you as this diagram. And that was all about from our side, where we have taken these efforts to brief you the complete journey about how this process will happen, so that when we will enter the 1st April, which is a new financial year for everybody, we are starting the new concept like a CUSPA, and till now we were working on the CUSA, and so we have seen that when the CUSPA movie was released, CUSPA jhukta nahi hai, and similarly here also the CUSPA has to ensure that the client unpaid securities has not gone to the client and has been well protected in the hands of the broker and a clearing member. So that was all about from our side. Thanks ANMI for giving us an opportunity, and forum is open for the questions. We will be very happy to have your questions, and we will try to give the answer to the maximum extent that is possible. Thank you.
So we have received a few questions which I'll be pasting in chat. Okay, so you can take from there.
So I hope all the slides was visible, because one of the point mentioned that 10 slide things was stuck up.
So this can be shared with the members, the PPT?
Definitely, we can share it. Basically, there is nothing confidential. It is a part of the articulation of the SEBI circular. We will definitely share with the ANMI.
So you can send it to ANMI, then we can share amongst members.
Yes, definitely we can do.
Okay.
So as I mentioned at the beginning, the question is, a client gives a transfer instruction before the actual payout and is overdue. Will this instruction not get triggered the moment credit happen? It will not happen, because as I mentioned at the beginning, we are giving the birth to the new concept in the depository, and that is a link transaction. Link transaction definition is when A action is happening, it will immediately give a birth to the B action. Moment the B action is completed, it will do the C action. So when the payout is distributed with full to client instruction within NSDL or inter-depository or from CDSL to NSDL with an indicator as an unpaid and CUSPA detail, it will go as a free balance to the client account, and immediately the next instruction will be generated, though there is an overdue instruction lying in the system. And so we are ensuring that type of thing will not happen, though client is smart enough to ensure that he has already put a overdue instruction in the anticipation that broker will give me the shares and I will immediately transfer it to, by the way of market or by the way of client market instruction to some other settlement, or take it to the another account in the other depository. That will not happen. So the overdue instruction triggering, second question is, will the situation be same whether it is a market or off market instruction, and how will the page get created? So already existing overdue instruction or a market or off market will not be considering this credit as a free balance, and it will not be allowed to use it. So the balance is coming only for this auto pledge. It will be used for auto pledge only. If a client, next question is, if a client want to sell stock on a T+3 when stock under CUSPA, please let us know the process. Now, if a client want to sell the shares on the stock on a T+3, basically he is free to do that. But it is your money, so you have to ensure. If a client is telling you that already I am supposed to pay to you, so why to wait for 5 years? You sell these shares and get your money back, no problem. On the third day, you can go for the invocation. It will come to your account. It will with a market type settlement number for the settlement which is scheduled on the third day, and let it go there, and the mandatory box will be created. Just a minute. So the next question is, if the client ledger is in the debit and we have placed the shares to CUSPA, can we allow the client to place the shares for the margin? See, the whatever shares in the CUSPA, whatever the shares against which the pledge is created for CUSPA, these shares cannot be used for the margin, because one margin pledge, repledge concept cannot be used here. It is a normal pledge like a margin trading funding. So the only action is invocation and release. Now till 5 days, you want to allow it as a margin, you can do that, but you have to ensure that after 5 days, it become a free balance and another margin pledge instruction in created in your favor. So if that type of checks and balance you are able to incorporate, definitely you can do that. Can client be allowed to sell at whatever rate he would like within 5 days, or TMCM has to execute the sale order? Client can definitely sell the shares, but he will not be able to fulfill the security obligation because the shares are placed in the favor of CUSPA. So unless CUSPA, that is a TM or a CM, release that pledge, it cannot be used for delivering in the obligation. And so ideally, you should not allow the client to sell unless you are satisfied that the proceedings will be received by you and you are only able to use that. Just
मोबाइल में करूँगा क्वेश्चंस का डायरेक्ट
the next question, if a client want to sell the stock, I have already answered that. If the client wants to sell the stock on a T+3, when the stock under CUSPA, please let us know process, as the client don't want to make payment and he is to book the profit. Now in this scenario, client has purchased the security, but he has not paid you. Suppose he purchased the security at that time, price was 1,000 rupees. Now the price has become 1,200. So he will tell you that I will give you 1,000 and then I will sell and you will give me 1,200, rather than that you sell it and give me 200 back. So it is a process where on a T+3, you go for the invocation, execute the transfer, execute the trade on a T+3 on a stock exchange platform, execute the invocation, let it result into the mandatory block with a market type settlement of the paying, which is scheduled on a T+4. It will get delivered in the paying. You will get 1,200. You keep 1,000 with you, which he is supposed to pay to you 5 days back, and return the 200 rupees to him. Interdepository pledge, invocation allowed to CDSL to NSDL. First point, there is no interdepository pledge going to happen, because the simple point is here that in case of a invocation, in case of a pledge, both the parties has to be with the same depository. But if you are going for an invocation and at that time you mention the CMVP ID of a client in a target depository, then mandatory block and a settlement instruction can continue by the interdepository transfer. So in simple word, how it will happen? A broker receive the payout in one depository. The client account is in the other depository. While doing the interdepository transfer, he will mention the unpaid flag, or he will mention the CUSPA details in a target depository where client demat account is there. Now it has hit this another depository demat account. The client to CUSPA pledge will be created in CDSL. Now the customer has defaulted. Now if you want to make the pay from the NSDL pool account, while mentioning the invocation details in CDSL, mention the market type settlement number of NSDL, mention the CMVP ID of NSDL and execute the invocation. Then the interdepository transfer will be executed, which is a normal interdepository transfer for market transaction, and shares will come in the block in a client account in CDSL in favor of a pool account of the broker or a CM in NSDL. Under T+1, it will get delivered. Currently, the process for interdepository transfer has not been communicated by NSDL or CDSL to brokers, clearing members and DPs. We are in the process of finalizing the circular. So in the span of next few days, mostly we are targeting by Friday, we will be issuing the circular for the same. If the client want to sell the stock on a T+3, when stock under in the CUSPA, kindly give the process. We have already clarified that point. CDSL informed that sale by the client from CUSPA is a normal free when sale by the broker is involved in the stamp duty. Invocation is like a transfer from one demat account to the other demat account. So it is like a off-market transfer. So currently also when the invocation is done in the depository system, the stamp duty is applicable. It is not applicable for the margin place. It is not like a margin place where the stamp duty is not applicable. And so here the stamp duty will be applicable considering it is like a normal place. What will be the pledge charges for this transaction? It is a normal pledge transaction. So current pledge charges which is applicable in the depository, 25 rupees per transaction will be applicable. There is no charges for the invocation in NSDL. If the client demand is disabled for standing instruction, no. If a client demand is disabled for the standing instruction, no. So in that scenario, currently also we are aware that such a securities are not credited. So we are exploring the option whereby forcefully the credit can happen. But if it is not, then the way as per the existing practice, the received instruction need to be given to execute the transfer. Can the CM transfer shares from CUSA to client beneficiary account with a auto pledge? CUSA, can the CM transfer shares from CUSA to client beneficiary account with auto pledge? That is not possible because shares can be transferred from the CUSA to the client account only because that functionality is developed from the normal pool account only. And so if there are such a scenario, so that's the reason our advice is whatever the shares lying in a CUSA prior to 31st March 2023 needs to be taken care of, either dispose of and something, because this new guideline will come with effect from the 1st April 2020.
So we are done with questions.
Okay.
Do you want to give any closing remarks, like you want to add something in your?
So definitely it's a new concept which will evolve over the period of time. It will be the learning the way we have seen in the margin pledge or a mandatory block or with an EDIS. So these are some of the initiatives which SEBI has taken over the period of time to protect the interest of the investor, to protect their securities in case of any default. And so that's the reason this is one of the new initiative which is coming forward. Definitely, if there are any other questions you have in mind, please feel free to contact us directly or through ANMI. More we come closer towards the deadline, we will also come up with some more such a webinars whereby those who could not attend it or there are some questions we need to be discussed, more to be deliberate. we will be very happy to be the part of that journey jointly with ANMI. With this, thank you. And thanks ANMI once again for giving this an opportunity to brief about the journey of the CUSPA. Thank you.
So I would like to give vote of thanks here. I would like to thank Prashant sir and team who took time out from their busy schedule for making it for today's webinar. I'm sure with today's webinar, members must got understanding about CUSA. I would also like to thank Chairman Sir Vaibhav sir for his welcome remark, and thank you members for attending today's webinar and making it a success. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.